one thing to say also. I think I'm recording this already. Is it recording?
No.
All right. Okay. Sorry. We're trying this again. This is gonna be recorded. The good thing about being here, and I hope everybody can listen. Is everybody hearing this? If not, tell us in the chat box or ask a question if you're not hearing this. The good thing about being here, the webinar live, is that you actually can see our faces. And again, I mean, you will see right now Victoria, and then you will see Ben as well. When you see this just as a recording, you will not have that privilege of seeing the faces because this software doesn't record the cameras. So that's a good thing of being here, that you actually get to see us and participate a little more. What we're going to do here today, actually, this webinar is a little different than what we have been doing before. This one will require a lot of your participation, which is great because I want to see you guys participating more, and I want to see also how much you know about what you guys are doing. And if there's not a lot of knowledge that we have thrown out there, it'll be a good indicator for us to what we need to do better, what we need to focus on. But overall, we want to see if you guys have learned everything that you need to learn so far, and if not, what can we do to be better? So that's the idea of this, behind this crazy webinar that you're about to experience. Everybody's muted. Let's start this again. Everybody's muted. If you have a question, you can use the control panel to ask any question related to this webinar. And also, if this is blocking your view, the control panel, you can use that arrow to make everything disappear, and you can continue listening to this beautiful webinar. Like I said, this is going to be a very interactive webinar. You guys ready for this? I hope you are. So I'm going to launch a series of questions here. Obviously, the first couple of questions are kind of easy ones. We are going to more detailed territory later on. I'm glad that I'm seeing a lot of yeses here. Let me see, is there a way for you guys to see the answers? 70% saying yes, 6% saying no, 9%. Oh my God, you guys are in for a treat then. Everybody who said no. Then we have 26% saying only if I know the answer. That's actually a really good answer. I have another question for you. I have a bunch of questions for you. All right, let's go in here. Just to see how much you know about your own state. All right, so we have 54% people that voted right now. Is that all we're gonna have? I'm going to close it as soon as we reach 80%. Guys, please vote. You know this answer. Is it Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Fort Worth, or Dallas? You know this answer, Victoria?
I do, but I'm not saying.
I mean, I guess the only one that can not know this answer, and we will allow it, is maybe Ben, but I'm sure that Ben also knows this answer. All right, so we have 78% of people voted so far, and I hope you guys know this. Let's close this poll. The right answer for this, for those of you who didn't vote, Victoria?
Oh, don't make me say it. What if I get it wrong?
It's Houston, guys.
Oh, I was right.
It's Houston, okay? Quick question. What does HMIS stand for? I know that you guys know this one. We have...
so far, so good.
So far, so good? Yes, okay. We have right now a 70... Well, okay. I'm going to allow more time to pass here because this is getting interesting. I want to say that 97% of you got it right. That number is increasing. And that's what we have. 97% of you know your stuff. The other 3% that answer something else, you guys got almost everything right. Just one word was incorrect. So congratulations to you two because you almost got it.
Next poll, and for those of you that are wondering why we're doing this, we really want to get a sense of, one, how much you know about the system, what do we need to cover, in order for you guys to feel more comfortable with HMIS. We also just kind of want to be more interactive with you guys in these webinars. We go through a lot of webinars. We sit in a lot of webinars ourselves, and they're pretty dry most of the time. So we just kind of want to shake things up a little bit. So our webinars might not always be like this every time we have one, but we thought this would be a fun way to kind of shake things up.
Are you required to use HMIS? Should we close this poll now? We have 68% of people answered. Let's wait. A few more votes coming in. We'll close it now, okay. So 90% of you are required to use HMIS. We have a 10% that aren't, and I'm sad that no one's
here just for the webinars.
Oh my God, I'm not surprised anyways. Okay, I'm gonna pass the next question to Victoria too.
All right, so what is the purpose of HMIS? It's looking pretty good from my end.
I mean, I like when they start voting like really fast.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, I know this is easy. I think we have more than 76% that voted already. We can close this one.
All right, so we have all of the above. So yes, the purpose of HMIS is to produce an unduplicated count of homeless persons. You can also use it to identifying patterns of service use and to also measure program effectiveness. Good job, guys. Let's do the next one.
Have you ever visited our YouTube channel? For those times where you're a little confused about how to do something or you forgot because the training was so long ago, Victoria has made a lot of really good tutorials that will explain any task like in minutes. Okay, we have 84% people voted already. Let's close this poll and let's share the results. Yes.
So, okay, so about a quarter of you guys said that you either didn't know that we had one or that you had never visited our YouTube channel. So I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I'm going to change the presenter to me really quick so I can show you where to find these wonderful things. All right, so if you just go to YouTube and type in Texas Homeless Network, that will take you to our own kind of personal Texas Homeless Network channel. And we usually have the most recent uploads. I usually call them HMIS Quick Trains. But we also have a specific playlist called Client Track Tutorials. This usually gets updated with a video or two a week. And if you have any suggestions for videos that you would like to see, just shoot us an email. And we're always interested in knowing about what you guys want to see.
Next one. Interesting question, actually. Let's see how this goes. Who trained you to use HMIS? You have several answers to choose from in there.
One of these is actually a trick question, a trick answer. So, oh no, some of you actually chose the trick answer.
So it's good, to know, whether you were trained either by Victoria, Ben, or myself, or some other HMIS staff that was here before any of us. We also have the automated training, which is like what we're using right now, along with the task list, just to have a practice run. I feel like that's really interesting and it has paid dividends. And also we have one last answer over there. Let's see how this goes. We have 73% of people that voted. Should we close that poll?
Yeah, I'm going to close it and share it.
There you go. That 9% is troubling.
Yeah, that was the trick answer for those who didn't realize. Okay, but it's good for us to get a sense of, one, who trained you, and two, how long has it been since you trained? So for those who were trained by former THN HMIS staff, one thing we want to make sure is that, one, you're still comfortable with the training that you received. Do you feel like you need an updated training? If so, please get in touch with us. I think we are working on a process for users to get retrained if they have been in the system for a year or longer. We're still working on getting that hashed out, so I don't see it as something that's going to happen right away, but just to keep in mind that we are going to be pushing for something like that in the future.
And go to the next question, because this one actually is very, very, very important as well. What's a local HMIS admin or local HMIS administrator? Manages and monitors HMIS for the balance of state. The liaison between a participating agency and THN. Your friendly neighborhood HMIS guy. Or no such thing exists. What is a local HMIS admin? I like the answer, no such thing exists. It's fake
Some
news.
of you chose no such thing exists.
Which, to be fair, sometimes we'll get an error. Someone will send an email, and then I'll look to see who the local HMIS admin is, and your organization might not have one. So then we'll start that conversation of, oh hey,
That's true.
y'all don't have one.
That's true. You might not actually have one.
And in that case, no such thing exists. Okay. Yes.
No.
All right. So yes, 63% of you have it right. The HMIS local or the local HMIS admin is somebody in your agency who is the liaison, the link between you guys and us. This is a very, very, I guess, important thing to understand. Like, while everybody can get access to support or for technical support, everybody can email or send us a ticket or ask for clarification. Only one person in your administration, or in some cases there might be two, but we prefer if it's just one. One person can email to request changes on the setup, can email to add or remove a service, or add or remove a grant, or add or remove a program. Only one person can do this, and the reason for this is because we want just one person responsible for any changes that will affect the way you use HMIS in your organization. That cannot be anyone. Always one person. And if you don't have one local HMIS admin in your agency right now, or if you don't know who the HMIS admin in your agency is, this is a good time for you guys to email us and ask. Or ask around your other peers, hey, who is the HMIS admin? If nobody knows, well, then there's an issue, and then that's why you answer no such thing exists, maybe. But yes, it is important to know this also, and we will go over this later in subsequent questions. I don't want to spoil the next answers, but yes, it is very important for you to know who is that person, because that's the person that needs to email us if you need to add a service, a program, a grant, etc. Anything to add?
No.
All right. Let's go into the next question that we have for you. When is acceptable to share your HMIS account? Wow, when is acceptable to share your HMIS account? I have some answers over here. Only if your supervisor asks. If you're off sick and someone else needs to run an urgent report. Never. Your user ID and passwords are only for your use. When I'm training another coworker, or anytime, any place, with anyone who asks politely. Let's see how this goes. We have 82% or 85% of you who answered.
That is the right answer, guys. 100%. Never. Your user ID and passwords are only for your use. This isn't, I would say, a very widespread issue. It is something that we have seen in the past, and it's just something that we want you guys to be aware of. The data in HMIS is sensitive, and we want to make sure that it is really only accessible to those people who, one, have been trained, and have, two, signed an agreement.
That is correct. I have another one, actually. This one is only for HMIS admins, local HMIS admins in your agency. But if you know this answer, you can also answer it, even if you're not a local HMIS admin. What should you do when an HMIS user quits or gets terminated from your organization? What should you do? I like when people start answering really fast, because it means that they know this. We know this, Jesus. You don't need to ask us these questions. What kind of webinar is this? Okay, we have, maybe.
Okay.
We're good, 71%. You guys know what it is. Exactly. Immediately. Sometimes people wait, or sometimes people forget, and that's, usually not very recommended. We need to know immediately.
One thing that we have also changed is when we have new users requesting a training, there is a question on there that asks if they are replacing someone, and if they are replacing someone, does that person still work at the agency? So that is one way that we can kind of catch those users who have moved on and then need to be locked out. But we do hope that you get in touch with us as soon as it happens, just so we can make sure that your agency's data is basically protected on all fronts.
Next question. What should you do if you forget your HMIS password? Contact the HMIS support center right away. Contact your local HMIS admin. No worries, I can change it by using my security question. I never log out, so I don't have that problem.
All right. We'll wait a little bit more. We're almost at 70% here.
And there's actually two good answers for this, not only one. I mean, it could be like two, but...
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close out and share the answers. So 36% of you said contact the HMIS support center right away. 12% contact your local HMIS admin. 52% no worry, I can change it by myself using my security question. That's my favorite answer.
There's two acceptable answers here. I mean, yes, you can contact your local HMIS admin. That person can potentially change your password as well, but we prefer if you do it yourself.
For those of you that have not set up your security question, or you're not really sure what that is, let me go ahead and give you a quick demonstration of what that looks like. Right, so when you are on the client track login page, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, there is a little link that said, did you forget your password? And if you click on that, it's going to ask you, do you want to retrieve your security question? Or did you forget your username? Most of the time, you already know what your username is. You can click on retrieve your security question, and you would just insert the answer to the question that you set up. Now, for those of you that have not set up that security question and you're asking or thinking, well, what is that? Where can I set that in HMIS? If you are in client track, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. One way that I like to go through is by hovering over my user configuration and then clicking on change my password. It's kind of tricky because that's not what you're actually going to be doing, but there is a separate link here that says I want to update my recovery information. It'll ask you to enter your password. And I should say before, this is if you know your password, but you need to set your security information. If you don't know your password, you couldn't even set it. You couldn't even set your security question anyway. But if you know your password and you haven't set your security information yet, these are the steps that you would take to do that. So you would enter your password, and at the bottom half of this box is where you would enter your security question itself. Now, I have something really generic. What is your mother's maiden name? Client track doesn't have a set list of security questions for you to choose from. It just wants you to type in something yourself, and then you can pick your own answer or type in your own answer.
Yes.
So that's one way you can do it. If your HMIS admin has you set as a team member, and HMIS admins, this next demonstration is going to be for you, you can hover over my user configuration and then click on my team. So if you are an HMIS admin and we have you set up in the system as an HMIS admin, you should see all of the users in your agency listed under my team. You can then click on the blue action button next to that particular user, and you can change their password this way. Now, if you are an HMIS admin and you are sitting on this webinar right now, this is one thing that I would go ahead and check right away, right after we finish up with the webinar. I would go ahead and check to see if you have all of the users that you need under my team. If not, let us know and we can set that up for you. So this is another way for those of you that answered contact your local HMIS admin. That's the second way that you can kind of get your password reset. And awesome. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to put that in the chat box.
Moving on, the next question actually, it's only for emergency shelters. But if you know the answer, you can also answer yourself, even if you don't have an emergency shelter. For emergency shelters, what step is missing here? We have intake, assessment, enrollment, and what is missing here? Case notes, services, check-in, referral, VI SPDAT. There's one step that is missing in there. You guys know this answer.
Okay, so we had 8% say case notes, 36% for services, 28% for check-in, 4% for referral, 24% for VI SPDAT. The correct answer for this is check-in. For emergency shelters and even for housing programs in general, once you complete the intake and all the assessments and the client has an enrollment on their dashboard, the thing that you need to do immediately afterwards is check them into a bed. Once they've been checked into a bed, then you can start entering services for that client. You can do referrals. You can complete a VI SPDAT for them or write up a case note. But we do want to make sure that that client has a bed in HMIS because that really impacts your utilization numbers.
Yeah, and thank you for clarifying that, Victoria, because yes, I put in here emergency shelter, but it is for any housing project. This is the 4 steps that we need to complete. Yes, if you provide services, you need to enter services. If you do case notes, yes, you have to do all those things. But a crucial step after intake, assessment, and enrollments is the check-in. If you don't know how to do check-ins and you do work in an emergency shelter or any other housing project, get in touch with us because we need to figure out why. Maybe it's because you guys don't have a shelter assigned yet in your setup, but we do need to track every time a client goes into a housing project, that client needs to be checked into a bed. Next question. A client is enrolled and participating in your program for more than a year. What should you do? Exit the client. Do an annual assessment. Update his address. His or her address, sorry. Congratulate your client. What should you do?
All right, so the majority of you said that you would do an annual assessment if a client is enrolled in your program for more than a year. And yes, that is true. If a client is in your program for 365 days or longer, they need to go through an annual assessment, which includes things like updating their barriers and their financial status. Some of you answered that you would exit the client. That might be one of your own program requirements. Maybe your program or your funding doesn't really allow for the client to stay for a year or longer. So I'm willing to say that that could be a true answer as well. Good job, guys. All right. Next question. When does HUD want you to assess your clients? We only have a few more of these polls, guys, so don't succumb to polling fatigue. We're almost there. Okay, someone chose the trick answer. And I'm not quite sure if it was all in good fun. Okay. So the majority of you said that, HUD wants you to assess your clients at program entry, exit, annual assessment, and also update changes. And yes, that is the correct answer.
What do you mean by update?
Yeah, I was just going to go through that. So for updated changes, we really encourage you to do what we would call a during program enrollment or an updated assessment when something major happens with your clients. Let's say they get a new job, or maybe they lose their job, or they qualify for non-cash benefits where maybe they entered your program 3 months ago and they didn't have any non-cash benefits. Maybe you are able to get them into a program where they would receive services for any barriers they might have, right? So anytime something major happens with your client, you really want to go ahead and put in that information in HMIS. For those of you that said never, this is just an extra step THN implemented. That is not a true answer, but I do appreciate that you guys honestly chose something like that. We do realize that it is, I won't lie, it does feel like an extra step, right? There are, depending on your program, there are extra assessments that you may have to fill out. Some of you are already doing the VI SPDAT on top of these other assessments, so it can just feel like an extra step. That being said, this extra step is meant to not help just your numbers in terms of utilization and program impact. It really helps your client, right? So we can get a full picture of the work that your program is doing in your community. Okay, so we were just talking about assessments, and this next one is exclusively about assessments. So what's the difference between a during program enrollment and annual type assessment? Some of you have answered really, really fast. That's always a good sign in my book.
Yes, incorrectly too.
All right. So some of you responded that this is a trick question, that there is no difference. The majority of you responded that one must be done yearly, the other when a change happens, and another minority percent answered, I don't know, I don't do either. That's kind of, well, that's dependent. So the people who answered one must be done yearly and the other when a change happens, that is the correct answer. The during program enrollment, that's what we were just talking about in the previous poll. You do that whenever something major happens with your client, and then the annual assessment again is when your client is in your program for a year or longer. For those of you that answered that this was a trick question, there's no difference. I can understand that answer because you actually go about creating the assessments in the exact same way. So you would click on the blue action button on your client's dashboard, and the option that you would select is update / annual assessment. So you click the same menu option to create either type of assessment, and Client Track will then ask you, well, which one do you want to create? Do you want the during program type enrollment or the annual assessment? For those who said, I don't know, I don't do either, maybe your clients aren't in your program long enough to merit either one of those assessments. If they are in your program long enough to do one of those assessments, then please start doing them. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to get to some reporting questions here. What's a UDQ?
Maybe Ben can answer this question.
Okay. I know, Ben. Sorry, I'm kind of a chatterbox today. But then again,
that's fine.
I said I would take all of these questions, so you can answer. I will allow it.
I think we have a troll, which I appreciate, but I don't even. Well, I know what the answer here is the Universal Data Quality UDQ report. We had one person respond with the ultimate disposable.
Kabbalistic.
I
was just
I don't even
work with you.
We also have urbanization development quality. No, within the context of HMIS, we are looking at it as a universal data quality report. That's something that we've been trying to do more faithfully, send that out quarterly. I know last time there were some hiccups in that process. We've talked about another new UDQ report. That's something that Client Track is putting together. It's going to be really awesome. We hope.
Should be here on the 10th, April 10th.
The 10th.
It be in the system. Tentatively.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we'll get our hands on that. We'll run it a few times. We'll really dig in, see what's going on, and then we'll blast out some emails sending you guys a copy. And that's always a fun thing for us to do because we all love data quality, right?
Exactly. Speaking of reports, you want to do, anybody wants to do this one?
Okay, how often do you guys run reports to check your data quality? And this one isn't so much there's a right answer. Well, actually, no, I take that back. There is actually a right answer to this. We just want to get a sense of how often you do it. Some of these answers are concerning, but again, I appreciate the honesty in these polls.
Oh my God, this is too much fun. And you can have a wrong answer. That's fine. I mean, the important thing is that at the end of the question, you will get the right answer. So
I'm going to go ahead and close the poll right now and share with the class. So good news, you guys seem to know which reports to run, which is great for me to hear. The majority of you said that you run it monthly, which I think is appropriate. I think it is, at the very least, you should be running a report of some kind on a monthly basis to get an idea of where your data is. Guys, the people who said I wait until THN HMIS Data Center sends me the UDQ, don't do that. You need to run it at least monthly. Also, for the users who said data quality is not a concern of mine, it should be. Even if you are not the program director, even if you are not the HMIS admin, maybe you're just the person who does intakes, right? And that's all you do. I would still, try and get familiar with the types of reports that we use to check for data quality. I think it should be considered a concern for everybody who actually touches or uses HMIS.
that is correct. And also, just have in mind that the data on your agency affects your agency, but also when we combine it with the data of the COC, it can affect everybody, even people that think, well, I'm not really required to do this, but still, everybody, if you're not required right now, but maybe later you want to apply to get some funding, I mean, all of those decisions on data quality affects there's a difference between being funded or not. So yes, you might not care right now about, and I want to think that it was just like a troll, like Ben said. But yes, you might not care so much about data quality, but you should, because it not only affects you, it affects the rest of the people that are using HMIS. So I want to think that maybe you don't care, like Victoria said, because maybe you're just doing data entry and you run wrong reports. And that's fine, but yes, you should care, because if you're entering information, you should make sure that all of the information is accurate,
all connected,
timely entered. So yeah, I mean, even you say you don't really care about report, you do care.
We know you do.
I know you care.
We care.
Well, and a plug here for frequent running of reports, whether that's your UDQ or your clients in program report, both of which we've recommended before. Monthly is good. I might even push weekly. I'm not saying that just because I'm the UDQ guy. I'm saying that from like one, we talk about running it, make sure you run it and then fix those issues. If you're doing something like weekly, it's probably easier to address those issues because those clients may still be in your program. Whereas if you wait till the end of the month or when we send it to you, those clients could be gone. Weekly could also give you a better idea of who's missing data. Let's say you have two people doing data entry, one of them's gone for a week, and you're on a report and you're missing like a ton of data. Well, then you as the administrator or the program director knows which one of your data input people maybe need a little assistance, a little extra work, maybe a retraining, one of those sorts of things. So monthly is good. Monthly is like what we're going for here, but frequent is also good for managing your people.
And it's also good to do it before, because then you get a chance to actually correct everything before we run the report.
Right.
And then you have that sense of satisfaction that I don't have any missing data. And when we report that to the COC, like, hey guys, I mean, this is the list of clients that haven't, or the list of users that, agencies that need to fix data, or you're not on that list. So that's great, because that talks good about you and your program.
Right. Let's move on. Only a couple more. I know I said that already, but for serious, a couple of more. Do you use the referral function in HMIS? Let's share. Okay, so 13% said yes, 66% said no, 3% how do you unlock that function, 19% yes, but I would like to know more. There was no right or wrong answer for this particular poll question. I just wanted to get a sense of, one, who uses HMIS, not uses HMIS, who uses referrals in HMIS, how comfortable do you feel with that? Do you want to learn more information? For the next webinar, this is something that I'm going to cover more in depth. So for those of you that are familiar with coordinated entry, or you're doing prioritization in your communities, we're really trying to push using referrals in this system. It's not a bit of functionality that gets a lot of use right now in HMIS. If you've taken one of the more recent trainings, this is something that I cover in there. Even if your community isn't doing coordinated entry, or you're not really at prioritization in your community, I think this is something that everyone should at least be familiar with and comfortable for doing. Just for entering data, really. One other thing, Sophia Cheka, some of you may know her. She is our coordinated entry guru here at THN. Referrals are required for coordinated entry. So, like I said, if you are one of those communities or users that are doing coordinated entry, this is something that you should be doing. So yes, thank you for giving us that heads up. It looks like a lot of you are going to benefit from the next webinar.
Let's launch this next question. Ben?
All right, so one of our final polls here, what's the best way to request support for HMIS issues? You can send a cryptic email with no details and we'll decipher it. You can write a mean tweet and, not at us. Submit a ticket and client track from where you had issues. You can call us. We're always available. We're never busy. And you can also send an email and CC all of THN. That should do the trick.
Which has happened.
Which has happened. Hopefully you don't feel like you need to do that in order to get a response. I swear, but that's not something that we try to have happen.
And we got, wow, good. So the answer was submit a ticket, guys.
And I'm going to hide the poll right quick because we don't need to see that anymore. And Ben, you just need to share your screen.
You can take over this one, Ben. It's all yours.
Cool. So we're going to actually step away from polls here and talk a little bit about submitting issues and some goals that we had for this year. Okay, I believe that it is booting up here.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that you might have picked up on from our webinar so far is that we are moving forward with our local HMIS admins, trying to put a little bit more responsibility on the people who are helping manage their own team and be a part of our data, as well as we have other goals for communication amongst ourselves, like being more visible, having more interaction, those sorts of things. Part of that is going to be revamping how we do our ticket submissions. We are always wanting to be available. Many of you submit tickets now through Client Track. We want to delve into that, and we actually want to do a little bit more within Client Track. So I'm going to show you some functionality that you've always had available to you, a whole new world, as it were. We've been trying to clean up some of this so it makes a little bit more sense. Because essentially what happens when you submit a ticket is that it goes into this big bin and is never actually assigned to a user. We've just been emailing you out of the HMIS email address, and you haven't been working within Client Track. And we want to do like a bit of a slow roll here, a soft opening for using the ticketing system within Client Track. By no means does this mean you can't email us. This doesn't mean you can't call us, but this really is a good way to get in touch with us and kind of see the progress on your ticket. We are often very busy, not only just like with our own reporting, but other tickets, meetings we may be in, those sorts of things. So going through the system actually allows you to see at what stage your ticket's being addressed. So let's go ahead and dive in. You should be seeing my screen. And if at any point you need assistance, hopefully, as you know, at the top right, you can select the Help button. And then you'll go to, waiting for my screen to catch up, here we go, Report an Issue. And here's where you can submit your ticket. I know many of you are familiar with that. One few additional details I definitely want to point out to you so that you're familiar with it are things like the View Debug information. If you click there, you see a bunch of gibberish. If it's gibberish to you, it's gibberish to me. I don't know what a lot of this is. I mean, I can parse through it. You know, you're on the home workspace, user dashboard, the welcome, your username, I'm under HMIS, the work group you're in. But a lot of this stuff, you know, I don't know. So if you send me a ticket from here, it says you're having an issue with a report, I'm not going to be able to help you unless you give me more information within the describe the issue. Similarly, if we hop over to reports, program reports, clients and program reports, hopefully this is a report everyone's fairly familiar with. You can set in your date range, you can pick a specific program, and you can submit a help ticket from here. If you do report an issue, here we go. And we do view the debug information again. I'm still not seeing a whole lot of information. I can see that you're in the clients and programs report. I know, you know, who you are and what you're logged in under, but ultimately I don't know what report settings you ran. I have some values here, but what's probably the best option is if you could run the report and send it from there. Because really, I mean, you can call us, but frequently, unless I can put eyes on what's happening, I might not be able to help decipher what's going on. That goes for issues across the board. Unless you're sending a very, you know, oh, I found some duplicates, here are the client IDs, that's awesome, hey, we can do that all day. But when it goes to actual data questions that you might have about the people that you're serving, definitely send us as much information as possible. So from the report, you can click the Get Help, report an issue. Now when we look at the debug information, I'm seeing you're in client tracks report, you've run the report, I can see your date range, I can see the organization, the program you selected. This is gonna help me run the report exactly how you ran it, and then I'd be able to see what you're seeing. When you submit the ticket, obviously I hope a bunch of you are familiar with this. If not, here's a brief refresher. You wanna go ahead and put the error, say, clients are missing, you know, I'm having a specific issue. Please tell me what the problem is. If you just say, this doesn't work, I don't know what that means. And I want to be helpful. I just don't know what to do with it's broke. Tell me I have an error message. Better yet, tell me I have an error message and it says this explicitly. Send a picture of the error message. Granted, this isn't an email, so maybe if you don't know how to copy and paste into here, I actually don't know if you can. What I've always done is attached a file for a screenshot. So even though this may feel like something very new and out of place, you can still upload a file, hopefully in a format that is familiar to you. You just click to attach a file, choose file, and here you can browse throughout your computer and pull whatever file you need, whether it's an export, whether it's a screenshot. You can upload that, and then I'll be able to receive it on my end here when I'm addressing your issue. All right, so you upload the file if you need. You've viewed the debug information to make sure I'm getting like useful knowledge. Maybe you even did additional information and said, I ran the report from, you know, and you gave me the dates. That's super helpful. On the ES program, awesome. Like those sorts of things are really good details. Specific client ID is missing, it should be ID, not that any of this matters. So, you tell me they're missing, like, oh, this person should be in the report, they're not pulling in, what's the deal? I can address that much more easily than this isn't working, or I'm having a problem. Okay, well, what's your problem? Like it just really is helpful for me to address your issue as quickly as possible, because we do get potentially in a day tons of error messages or questions. And so the more information you can give me, the quicker I can address the problem and the quicker you can get your answer.
The less emails that we have to send back and forth to get all the information.
Exactly. So you'll have your email address, your phone number, you have your issue, click submit, and off it goes. Everyone's going to get a notification that the email is sent, and that this has been sent to your local administrator. Awesome. Within Client Track, if you're on your home workspace, you go to My Client Track, and the last option here is My Submitted Issues. If you've been with us for a long time and you look in here, you might still have a bunch. I've been going through and deleting them from past years. I made an export, I pulled all this data, but then we've been deleting them because this whole time we haven't really been assigning them. So you probably, if you've been here for years, you still go, I'm still deleting them, especially from last year. You're gonna have a whole bunch listed here. The clients are missing was the one I just submitted. You'll see it come through as a new issue that's not assigned. Once it does get assigned, you'll see that it's updated. Here's an older issue that I made this morning about how the computer is on fire. You see the status is assigned, and it's been assigned to me. So you know that if you've submitted an error message or some sort of issue, you know when someone's looking at it. And it's not just sitting in an email box somewhere. You have confirmation. I have put eyes on it, or Victoria Lopez has put eyes on it. We're looking into it. We'll get to it as soon as we can. It's not just being ignored. You can look at your issue by clicking Edit on the left here. And we'll hop in. And you'll see that there's some notes going back and forth. So as you can see here, the initial issue was that they're having some difficulties in the services section. And then I have to send another response because I don't know what those difficulties are, right? So here's a submitted ticket. Here's my note back. And then you can add a new note at the bottom left to give clarifying information. So you click New Note. You can attach a file or screenshot just like before. This sends an email to the person it's assigned to, letting them know that you're attaching a note. So you're saying, oh, it's whatever additional information for issue. And then you could do a save of the note. You can save the note and mark the issue as fixed. You can save the note and reassign the issue, or you can save the note and close the issue. For this demonstration right now, I'll click Save the Note. Client Track is going to think. And then you can see here how these conversations are going to go back and forth, right? So it's like sending text messages. You have the initial response, my response, and then the HMIS user's response. Some things you'll notice about the ticket, if you go to the top left, there's a paperclip here. Here are some of the attached things that you can click and download. So I'll have those available to me. You can pull them back for yourself if you ever need. So those attachments do work just like an email. You'll also notice across the top here, there's another conversation about submitting issues. You can see it's submitted by HMIS at hmis@thn.org, the date. You can also see who it's assigned to, and you can see my personal email address or my personal company email address. Don't email us there simply because that's only monitored by one person, right? If you do need to email us or you submit a ticket, that goes to the HMIS email address that's monitored by Victoria and myself very closely. Jesus also has eyes on HMIS. So that's a way for us to, one, like triage the issue. If it's like a caper thing, that's probably gonna come to me. If it's, I don't know, training, that might go to Victoria. It just kind of depends. I do training stuff as well. It's not like, we're completely sectioned off. But we can decide who's going to take the issue. If one of us is in a meeting, or maybe Victoria's working on a training video, if you email her directly, she might not be available until the end of the day. She works on a video. They're awesome. I use them all the time. Another plug for them real quick, but it really does make the most sense from your perspective to email the HMIS desk or call the HMIS number, because that's just monitored by more people.
My email is very quickly turning into a black hole where I don't even really look at it. So yes, email hmis@thn.org, because if you email me directly, who knows where it will go.
We receive a vast amount of emails daily, and it is very easy.
Yeah.
To lose track. Having everything in here makes everything easier, because then we can go here and see what's open, what needs to be taken into consideration. So your best bet will be, yes, like Ben said, and Victoria, either email the HMIS email or account, or submit a ticket. But if you submit a ticket, also, it provides a lot more of information that we can use to fix your issue quicker.
One thing that I want to point out really quick, and Ben might show this later on, I'm sorry if I'm cutting in or getting ahead. When you submit a ticket, you usually get a response in your own personal email that says your ticket number is this, it's been submitted. Don't respond to that email. Likewise, when we go in, or when we are going to go in and we add notes to your ticket, you're going to get another response in your personal email that says there has been a response. This is what it says. Don't respond to that email. It will bounce back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, if you have to do any additional notes, like Ben was saying, you can do it through here. Also, and I think Ben can show you also how to do that, but if you need to notify more people in your agency, like for example, your HMIS admin, you want to make sure that he knows or she knows, you can add more interested people into your ticket, so more people will be aware of what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, all those are definitely things to keep in mind, and important facets about, like, email black holes. I think we all get tons of emails every day, and we're no different here at HMIS. So like they were saying, all communication, if we're working within the client track ticket, all communication should be within these notes. We don't really want to be having a conversation here and then having a separate conversation via email. So you don't even want to respond to those, because one, they'll bounce, and two, it'll be difficult for us to track. I'm going to cancel that real fast, and we're going to go back in. At the top here, well, first off, when you submit a ticket at any point, at the bottom here, you can notify additional people. So it'll list them next to your email address there. Or if you forget to add them, you can come in to the ticket, and at the top it says add an interested person. And it's the same thing. You might want to just search at first. And it starts with your caseload as a default. That's something to keep an eye on. You'll want to switch that out to users, or yeah, I always just use users. And so here you can search through our users. So like when I submit a ticket to client track, this is what we use. And I'll often, copy Jesus, my manager. And so then I have to look up his phone number, yada, yada, yada. And then we'll be able to add him there. Once the notes are done, like let's say we've resolved your issue, whatever it is, you're like, this is awesome, we're all set. You're adding a note to say it's resolved. You can save the note and mark the issue as fixed, or close the issue, or you can close the issue over here. Either one will do it, because once you close the issue, let's close that note. Close issue over here. Okay, why are you closing an issue? Computer stopped burning because it was on fire. So we save the note and close the issue. You can mark whether it was verified in the training database or the production database. And we'll click verify. And what that's going to do is it's going to get rid of this issue for you, so it'll no longer be listed. it'll take you back to your submitted issues, and it's just going to show you your assigned, your fixed, and verified needed issues. Fixed and verified needed is something, if I did that on my end, I'll mark it as that, and then you'll go in and be like, oh, it is, boom, and then you'll close it on your end because you verified it. New will be showed here. And any of your old issues, you can mark closed at the top. Fixed and verified needed is something, if I did that on my end, I'll mark it as that, and then you'll go in and be like, oh, it is, boom, and then you'll close it on your end because you verified it. New will be showed here. And any of your old issues, you can mark closed at the top to display them, and that's where you're going to see those here. So the computer is on fire. You can always go back and view that issue. You don't need to go through digging. You don't need to go digging through all of your emails that we may have been doing back and forth had you have just emailed the HMIS desk. It will be here available to you based on your submitted date and the summary you have. None of these will ever go away at this point. All of your old ones from 2016 will still probably go away as I work through cleaning that out. All of your older ones from beyond that won't be here. But moving forward, those will always be available for you to view based on whether or not you want to see your new, your closed, whatever. So as it is, this is still marked as new because I haven't logged in under my name and accepted this issue.
I don't see any questions appearing.
I will probably end up making a tutorial or a short video on this process. So be on the lookout for that within the next couple of weeks.
And like we said, this is a soft open. We've been trying to be a little bit more cognizant. Like if you send an email or a ticket, we've been emailing you back with the ticket number and the subject. And that was intentional to help you get in, like thinking more in like the ticket numbers. So by all means, like if you still want to email us and there's like a whole list of things or whatever the case may be, we're not accepting emails. But if you submit a ticket, we're going to start responding to the tickets in the notes in client track here.
Yes. Help us help you better. Is there anything else, Ben? I think our time is
That's it for this. I don't know if, yeah, I'm still not seeing any questions come through.
We have one last question for you. I was going to ask before I launch this last poll, do you still like polls? But just have some time and answer this one last question. This is truly our last question. That was 20, just in case you were wondering. We just drove you through 20 questions, and hopefully you were able to learn a few new things.
I learned a few new things based on your answers. But yeah, thank you for everyone who participated. I really did feel like I learned a lot based on the answers that you gave. And we'll hopefully be using that information moving forward to inform the next couple of webinars that we do.
Yes. Again, thank you very much for your participation. I want to thank also my team. They have been wonderful. If you guys have been working with them recently, specifically talking about Caper, you know how hard they have been working. We are always kind of busy. It's still a busy season. Every time I say, well, we're just finished one report, we're going to have some downtime, and no, something else comes up. Right now, as you know, we are starting system performance measures. So a lot of you are going to receive some emails with some information that we need you guys to complete. As you always, we appreciate the promptness on your replies, and we just want to make sure that you guys know that all of these reports are a reflection of our COC. So we want to make sure that all of this information, all of this data that we're representing actually talks good about the work that you guys are doing. That's the main objective of all of this. So I want to thank you guys also for being on top of things, for replying every time we send you an email. Next month, which is next week, we're going to start sending also UDQs. So be on the lookout for that. again, if you receive a UDQ and you're not the person who should be receiving this UDQ, well, you can do two things. You can actually send us back an email and say, hey, it'll be better if you send it to this person, or I'm no longer receiving this task. But we need to know, because that has to go to someone. So if you're not the person, well, let's make sure that we find another person that can receive that email in your organization. And this is the answers.
We're glad you liked it.
I'm sorry if it was hard for you to pay attention. But
Yes.
97% is happy with this format. And you know what, guys? It's already 2:30. We were here for an hour and a half, and I almost didn't feel it. I don't know how it was for you.
But yeah, we don't have any more questions. If anything comes up after the webinar ends, please feel free to get in touch with us, shoot us an email. But other than that, thanks for showing up, guys.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next month.